everybody, it's Carol with O'Brien Custom Turning, and tonight's a Friday night. I am not supposed to be here. I am supposed to be at CAP with Caitlin, but I have had a fever the last 2 days, so I of course wasn't going to go out around people. So since I'm home, I thought I'd try to paint. I'm going to try to talk with you a little bit, but I also have had a sore throat and a cough the past 2 days. So I don't know how long I'm going to be able to talk. So there you see already I'm starting. So I will talk to you as long as I can. I'm still working on this one. Bamboo Dreams by Abraham Hunter from Diamond Art Club. A full round. This project is Caitlin's. Will go up in her room when it's finished. I'm just getting ready to start working on number 141, which is an AB diamond. I work on sections of yay big. So like this big by this big. And I picked the first one in the top left corner that's not done, and I do all of the diamonds of that color in the entire square. And then I go back to the top left corner and do the same thing until that whole square is done. So I am to the number 3s. So tonight, since I am not at CAP where I'm supposed to be, I thought it'd be a great opportunity to talk to you about that. So CAP is Civil Air Patrol. Civil Air Patrol is a volunteer auxiliary of the United States Air Force. They, or we, I guess, we, since I've been involved for over 5 years now, have 3 main focuses. We are commissioned and established by Congress. We are considered a part of the total force and a part of the Air Force, even though we all are volunteer civilians. We have 3 main missions and focuses. We have one of our branches and missions is a focus on aerospace education. And with that, we focus on certainly in the public and private schools wanting to educate teenagers and children so that we have pilots going forward in the future, because we have a drastic need for pilots going forward. But we also do STEM kits, is what they're called, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, that are fully funded by the Air Force. And anyone who is a aerospace education member, to be an aerospace education member, you have to be a teacher. So, of course, a public school teacher or a private school teacher, but also a homeschool teacher. So don't fall through the cracks if you're a homeschool teacher. Homeschool teachers are also eligible. So you pay your membership fee and you become an aerospace education member, and then you have access to all of these aerospace education kits. And Civil Air Patrol sends you these kits free with education plans and training materials that are licensed and accepted plans that you can use for curriculum. They also include all of the materials as far as like the different kits. We did one within our squadron on astronomy, and that included a telescope. That Civil Air Patrol sent us a telescope. There's one that is a model RC kit, and you get sent a model RC to build and use. One that's a little B-Bots kit that teaches you how to program, and it comes with a little programmable little B-Bot that you use and teach it, and it follows the path that you've programmed it correctly. So each of the different STEM kits, I think we're up to over 35 now. And each of those are available completely free to people that become aerospace education members. Also, our aerospace education members get a top flight, it's called. And I'm not sure what TOP stands for, T-O-P. A top flight, but a top flight means they get a front seat flight in an airplane, and it's a 45-minute educational flight. And that will be in one of our Cessnas. And during this flight, the pilot explains different controls and how things work. And while I have not been on a top flight because I'm not an aerospace education member, if it is anything like the flights the cadets take, and I'll talk to you about those in a little bit, the pilot hands over controls, and then the teacher gets to actually control the plane while it's up in the air. So that's kind of a cool thing. But that is the aerospace education mission. The second component that Civil Air Patrol does is our emergency services mission. The emergency services mission is the one that you may have heard called search and rescue. That we have our young men and women, teenagers on up through adults and senior citizens, out helping with search and rescue missions if planes go down or if a hiker gets lost while they're out someplace. We also help in that particular mission with taking photography after disasters. So after the hurricanes, it's the Civil Air Patrol planes are up in the air taking photography to help with disaster relief, to determine where the needs are the greatest and exactly what those needs and things are. The third mission is the one that's my favorite one and that I participate in the most, and that mission is our cadet program mission. That's the one Caitlin is a part of also. Our cadet program mission is for teenagers ages 12 through 21. And we have a focus with the teenagers then. It's very similar to a JROTC program in high schools. But we have a focus on character development, leadership, again, aerospace education, physical fitness, and then what we call extra activities. And when I say character development, what I mean by that is simply ethics and virtues. So we focus and talk about things like teamwork, integrity, respect, other different values then that are going to help them throughout their lives as we're truly training the leaders of tomorrow. We have a focus then on leadership, where we are teaching and training the kids to be leaders. They do things, for example, we have a group, we'll be going on Legislative Day, and our 13, 14, and 15-year-olds will be presenting the budget for next year to their congressional representatives. And they actually will be helping write it up and then intelligently talking to their representative about why different areas of the budget are needed and what that money is going to go for. So for a 14 or 15-year-old to be able to do that, that's phenomenal and significant, to have that confidence and leadership to be able to do that. We also want them to have the ability to turn around and lead others. That's, an important skill, to have self-confidence, but also the ability to make good decisions and lead others. Within the aerospace part of the cadet program, each of our cadets gets to do 5 front seat flights in a glider. And what I mean by that is they are actually the pilot in control Certainly they have a pilot in the back seat available to them, but they are the one that is controlling the glider flight. They get to do 5 front seat powered flights where the pilot will do the takeoff and the landing, because those are the most critical parts. But once they're above a certain altitude, our cadets take over the flight. They then get to do as many backseat flights as I have room for them and that they want to do. And they also get to do 2 hot air balloon flights if desired, and if they have, if we have the ability. We have 2 hot air balloons in the nation. We have a physical fitness component, so we are encouraging them to maintain physical fitness standards. And then we have what we call special activities. And this one, if you've been around for any time, you've heard me talk about on the page a lot. Special activities are among my favorite parts of CAP within the cadet program. Special activities are available to our cadets nationwide once they've completed what we call their basic encampment. Special activities are different, usually week-long events that they can go to that have a focus on a particular activity or thing, that they can explore that type of thing for the week. First off, to see if they have any interest in it, to maybe pursue it for a career. But secondly, to see if they like it, maybe learn something new, meet some new friends. Certainly keeps them busy and gives them something to do during the summer. They're around other like-minded teenagers, hopefully staying out of trouble. Some of the things that they can do, we have events for robotics. There are events for cybersecurity. There are events for medical training and basic first aid type skills. There's a week-long event for our emergency services training for those that want to do the search and rescue activities. There are week-long events for honor guard training. I'll talk to you about that one. We have week-long events for flight training, where the cadets, most of those events are 2 weeks long, and they go, and for 2 weeks they fly every day for 2 weeks at a time. And at the end of flight training, most of our cadets solo and get to do a solo flight at the end. We have a balloon academy. We have a Model RC academy that they get to fly Model RCs. We have a space camp. And we have an annual cadet competition that's considered a special activity. We have what's called IACE, International Air Cadet Exchange, where our cadets actually go internationally. That's intended for the older cadets. Extremely, extremely competitive to go to that one. So there's just a whole gamut of things that our cadets can do. As far as Caitlin and I, she and I have been in Civil Air Patrol for over 5 years now. And it is truly no joke when Shira tells you that it changed her life. When we started CAP, she was shy, quiet, extremely introverted all of the time. We would go into a restaurant, and if it was like a go to the counter and place your order, she'd stand behind me. She couldn't order her own food at a restaurant. We went to our CAP, on a trial basis for Patrick. That's a story for another day. But we went for her brother, and went the first week, and he said, if he's going, she's going. And after the first week, he said, no, not for me. But darn, if she didn't say, I think I kind of like this, let's try it again. So we went to week 2, and we went to week 3, because you have to go 3 weeks before you can sign up to make sure it's a good fit. And when we started at the squadron where we're members now, it was at least 3 to 4 months before she even spoke to anybody. She literally would stand in the corner in the back of the room. Again, the standing behind me trick. She would not speak. But now she has been our cadet commander, which means responsible for leading our meetings. She comfortably teaches classes. She leads other cadets. She has taught a class at our wing conference, which, theoretically could have been in front of hundreds of cadets. She didn't know how many would attend when she volunteered to teach. She's attended events in multiple states. She's filled out scholarship applications. She's won multiple wing level awards. It truly has changed her life. So someday, hopefully, she'll sit down and do a packing and chat with you and tell you her perspective on the things we've done. But event-wise, the very first one we did, we sent her to her basic encampment. She was barely 12 years old, and she was a homeschool girl. We'll talk about that too. But she was a homeschool girl, so she had never been away from me at all. And remember I told you she was very shy and quiet and wouldn't talk to anybody. And we'd been in CAP less than 3 months. And off she went. And she went to encampment. She basicked in Ohio. And it was brutal for me. I'm literally hearing her footsteps in the house all the time. I kid you not, I cried every day for the first 5 days, even though her mentor went with her and sent me emails every day telling me how she was doing. But it was terrible. It was a brutal week. But we both survived. And on the way home, she told me how cool it was and that she wished she could go back again. And she has gone back again to 2 more encampments. But she went to that one without me because it was important for her to see that she could go without me and that she could do that. And that's the lesson of encampment, is to see that you can do this. But after that one, that was in June or July of her first year. Over Christmas that year, we flew out of Indiana. We flew to New Hampshire just after Christmas. We left the day after Christmas, and we flew to New Hampshire, and we went to their Winter Leadership Academy, and she went to NCO Leadership School, and then I was on the staff as a nurse, oh, excuse me, helping with both Leadership Academy, or NCO Leadership School, and Honor Guard Academy. So we were there for a week, and during that week, the temperature got down to 26 below zero. It was cold, and that was without the wind chill. With the wind chill, it was worse. It was brutally cold. I'm an Indiana girl, and I've never been so cold in my life. It was cold. But we stayed for the week. We had a fabulous time. Came back, and she enjoyed it. And fortunately, she said she wanted to do other events. So after that one, in the summer, she was still only 13. So she was pretty limited on what she was able to do. Because, you know, for a lot of them, depending on the activity, you have to be a certain age, because some activities you're not going to let children go that aren't old enough to handle the maturity yet. So we went to Mark Academy. Mark Academy is Model Airplane Remote Control. So for 1 week long, we went to Wisconsin, to Oshkosh, and we stayed in the buildings there. She and I and one other young lady were the only 3 girls. It was all the rest were young men. And we would get up in the morning and we would eat breakfast. And then we got in 3 15-passenger vans. I drove one of them. And we drove over to a Model RC field. And we stayed at that field all day long. We ate at that field We had popsicles every single day. I think those kids ate 4 or 5 popsicles a day, every single day. We stayed at that field. We had lunch and a snack, and then an afternoon snack that we fed them every day at the field. We got back in the vans and went back over then to the Oshkosh base where we would feed them dinner at the base. And then in the evening, they worked on building an RC out of foam. And then they would go to a practice field that was connected to where we were staying. It was like within walking distance. So all told, they flew almost all day long for the whole week we were there. By the end of the week, every one of our cadets had done a solo flight with their RC. They also tried to teach the seniors to fly. This particular senior member did not go well. My instructor, of course, we're tethered with our instructors, and he had my remote and would hand it to me and say, okay, you have the plane. And I would fly literally 2 or 3 seconds. He's like, okay, I'm taking control. And then he'd say, okay, you have the plane again. And we'd go another 2 or 3 seconds. He's like, okay, I'm taking control again. So it did not go well, and I did not do as well with my experience of flying RCs as my daughter did. But we had a fun week. We were over 4th of July, and so on July 4th, we took the kids and we went to 4th of July picnic up in Oshkosh and took them downtown to watch the parade and the fireworks. It was a really nice week. And then from there, I drove we left Wisconsin, and I think she went to Atterbury next. So we left in the middle of the night, 2 a.m., drove 6, 8, 10 hours. She can tell you how far it was. I don't remember. It was a long drive. And we drove to Atterbury in Indiana. And she stayed the week. I did not. I came back home. But she stayed the week and went to Indiana, where she stayed at encampment as a flight sergeant for the week. I think it was that same summer. She'll tell you if I'm wrong. She's done both. That same year, we also went to Virginia for Honor Guard Academy. This one has changed. Our first year was at Fort Pickett, and that particular year, she actually learned a lot of spinning, how to spin her rifle and how to toss her rifle. And that year, I actually got to be a training assistant in a squadron. They didn't make me be a nurse. I hate when they make me be a nurse, but they did not make me be a nurse. I got to be a training assistant. So that was actually a really, really fun week, and I enjoyed that. That was our first time going to Honor Guard. Then the next summer, we went to Honor Guard Academy for a second time, and she went as a flight officer for a squadron. And then I went as a senior member staff, and they, of course, made me be a nurse that year because they didn't have a nurse. And that year, we went to the Air Force Base, and they had changed the program, and the Honor Guard at the Air Force Base were the men and women that did our training. So it's really exciting that the young kids in CAP can say that the men and women in Honor Guard trained them how to do the movements and things correctly. And then from there, we were supposed to go back to Honor Guard the third time, but then COVID happened. So we missed our third year of Honor Guard. We both have been to Illinois encampment. We went 1 year together. She was on staff and so was I. I was a nurse at that one also. And then I went back to Illinois a second time that she did not go back. And then this summer, she went to COS, Cadet Officer School, and I did not go to that one with her. So she will have to tell you about that one also. That was quite an experience that definitely helped change her life, and she had really positive experience. So with that, that's pretty much a summary of what CAP is and what we do and why we love it so much. If you have any questions for me, drop them down in the comments. And I probably will not see you again on a Friday night, but I'll see you another day in Diamond Paint with you. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.